Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Joe Daddy's Garage. It is Monday, May 26th, 2025, Memorial Day. Now, I'll be honest, I forgot that Memorial Day weekend was this weekend. And the reason for that is I'm used to it being at the end of the month. You know, you think about Memorial Day, you automatically think it's towards the last couple days, right, in May. And because of the timing of the days, they backed it up to this Monday. So I want to express my gratitude for all of those that we have lost in our conflicts. Now, let me emphasize this. I am a veteran, right? We have millions of veterans across the country. It is not our day. It has nothing to do with us whatsoever. So let me make sure that's perfectly clear. Memorial Day is established for those that we lost in combat, and we're honoring them on this day. So whenever you're doing something, or whenever you're having fun with friends and family and doing all the cool stuff that we all do, I always ask everybody just take a little bit of time and think about those who gave their lives who cannot do those sort of things. Remember their sacrifice for us and our country. So just keep that in mind. Veterans Day that's for those of us that just served the country. We didn't go to war, or we may have gone to war, but we are still alive and well, and we're still here. So Memorial Day is for those that have fallen. So I want to thank everybody for being here. If you're new to this live stream, I do this on Monday nights at 7 o'clock, and we focus on classic cars. And for my time period of classic cars is about 1955 to around 1980. That's where my bracket of time is. Now, some may argue that, hey, it's back a little further or a little further forward, but that's my bracket of time for classic cars. So I encourage everybody to be involved. If you have a subject you want to bring up, if you have a question that you think I might be able to answer, I will try to help you with that. But mostly we talk about classic cars. Sometimes we go off on other tangents, and we may talk about movies or food, depending on the occasion. And I will be talking about food later on. I'll just let you know that right now. We did have a good weekend. We were away with a group of friends that we hang out with. We went to the lake. We did some rides on the boats, floating in the lake, and enjoying beverages and interacting with everybody. So we had a great time while we were at the lake. But we are home now, and it's back to work, so to speak. So I don't expect to have a lot of people here tonight. I know my regulars will probably show up, and that's fine. I just wanted to make sure, because I didn't do this last week, and we're going to talk about that too. I did not do this last week because I was busy doing something else, and I'll discuss that in a minute. Let me see who's here tonight. Let me see. No, wait a minute. No. There's a new feature on this app, and I haven't looked at it yet. Okay. I'm not ready to try that yet. It has a new feature, says show comments on stage. Chat overlay lets you display live comments directly on your stream. Please note that some platforms like Twitch may have specific guidelines limiting display of comments from other destinations. Well, you know what? Let me just turn that on for a quick second, and we'll see what happens. I have not used that feature before, but I'm going to go down the list and see who's here. First one in is Rick Gain. Not sure if I'll make the live stream tonight, but wanted to say hello to everybody and say thank you to all those who served our country. Whoops. There's a good bell. Thank you, Rick. Glad you were here. I don't know if you'll be back, but glad you showed up. Terry Keithley, happy Memorial Day, everyone. Please give Barry a thumbs up and like. Terry and Betty and the cats, thank you kindly. Glad you are all here, Terry and Betty and the cats. Steve Reed, hello, Barry and everyone. Great work on the Cobra Jet, and everyone needs to give Barry a thumbs up. Yes, by all means. Travis Holtman, good evening all. Sent you a pic. I downloaded those, and we're going to show those in just a minute. Glad you're here, Travis. Jerry is checking in. Howdy, Barry. Howdy, y'all. It's been quite a rainy day here in North Texas, which never improves Robert's mood. Have a great car talk tonight. Thank you, Jerry. Glad you checked in. Roger, Hindsight 6'7", greetings from next door. Greetings. Glad you're here. David, the bowler hat guy. Hello, all. Good evening, Barry. Good evening, David. Bob Shoemaker. Good evening from a wet, saturated Oklahoma. Yeah. Glad you're here, Bob. We had some rain while we were on the lake. Thankfully, it was limited. You know, we make jokes about it every time we go out there. It seems like it wants to rain on us. And one of our group members was saying, "Hey, it's only a 12% chance." We got it. 12% is still a percentage, and but it went away pretty quickly, so it didn't last long. It was kind of funny that we ended up with rain on our particular part of the lake. C&J Hoyt, thank you all for your service. Now that you're a movie star, how did that go for you? Well, thank you for being here, C&J. And since you brought that up, I will discuss this. Now, I mentioned previously, and I put a comment on my YouTube channel saying that I would not be around for last week's live stream. Now, the reason for that was I was an extra in a movie. I've done this before. I've been in several different things. One other movie that I was in, and you all don't care, I know this, but it was an Alvin and the Chipmunks movie. I think it was called The Road Chip. And there was a scene in there where there was a airport scene, and if you look just at the right time, you'll see me in there. I'm dressed up as a cowboy, but I did that and had a good time with it. And I also did one for The Walking Dead, and they filmed me. I was in the scene, but they didn't use that part of the scene or whatever, so that one doesn't count for anything. And then I did one for a show called The Bondsman, which is on Amazon Prime. I will say this up front: the movie or the TV series or whatever is not good. They canceled it. In fact, it had Kevin Bacon in it, and if you were so inclined to look through any of those, you will, if you have Amazon Prime. I think it's the last episode of that series. They're arresting Kevin Bacon in this bar, and you will see me in the background, like right behind Kevin Bacon. The idea was that there was a demon. He was a bounty hunter of demons or something along those lines, and one of the demons takes over everybody, and the gimmick was that the demon would make people grab their jaw and like pull it off of their face, so in that last scene, you'll see everybody in that scene doing this, and I'm like right behind Kevin Bacon. The series was canceled. It was really bad, I will say. I watched some of it. The acting was terrible. I was not impressed, and Amazon was not either. So apparently they canceled the series, which is fine. But okay, so now I see that little window box on the side showing the live chat. All right. Well, we'll see if that works. So there was a movie casting call put out for a new movie called The Breadwinner. Okay. It has a comedian who wrote it. His name is Nate Bargatze. You can look him up. Bargatze. You can look up The Breadwinner. There's a write-up on it online. It tells you what it's about. But the gist is he is a salesman at a Toyota dealership, and he is just won Salesman of the Year, and he's getting awards and all this sort of thing. And then his wife goes on Shark Tank, and she ends up being awarded money or whatever to Shark Tank. And so now he's no longer the breadwinner. She's the breadwinner, and he is a stay-at-home dad, is what it becomes. So in the casting call, they were looking for car technicians, and I'm like, hey, I'm here. I'm your guy. Sign me up. So that's what I ended up doing. Me and there was 3 other car technicians They had salesmen. They actually used a local Toyota dealership. Had the front section shut down for the movie scene. We were there for 3 days, so we shot there Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And it was a scene with, like, a party, like awards type of thing. And if you watch it, which it's supposed to come out in March, I feel like me and these other people are going to get some visual. They'll see us in the background. That's our job, background actors. We're not there to make the scenes. We're just there to fill in the back and make it look like there's people interested. So that was fun. The best part about that is they feed you very well on movie sets, at least the ones I've been on. So if you ever look at doing this stuff, they fed us a tremendous breakfast, everything you could want for breakfast, omelets and just whatever it was there. And then for dinners or lunch, they had it might be steak, it might be fish, chicken. But all three, not just like steak, or it was everything, vegetables, and it was all very, very good. So I didn't let them know that I would probably just work for the food, but I ended up doing that for 3 days, and it was a good time. It was a good time. So thank you for asking, C&J. Like I said, it'll be coming out supposedly in March of next year. So hold your breath and wait for the big scenes where Joe Daddy's Garage is in the background. Okay. Robert, evening all. Great weather here in Texas. Nice and rainy today versus mid-90s and humid yesterday. Okay, well, that's better, but it's not going to last, just like I know. Troy, just it. Happy Memorial Day from Utah. I'm visiting family this week and visiting lost soldiers. Well, thank you for doing that, Troy, and I hope you have a good rest of the week. It's hard to say Happy Memorial Day. It really is. I just it's really hard to say that. It's hard for me to say it. It hits different for those of us, especially that were in the military, or those families that lost soldiers or Marines or airmen or whatever. It's hard to say Happy Memorial Day. It really is. Dave Conville, good evening. Thanks for reminding us the meaning of Memorial Day. Here's what I've been working on this week. Pick in email, 1890 Rockaway carriage built in town and featured in today's parade. Okay, well, we'll get a look at that. Let me go back to Travis, since we're talking about pictures, and I'm gonna see if I don't see Dave's picture coming through. Oh, there it is. Okay, so oh, that's cool. Let me get these on the way. And Travis has sent me some pictures earlier, and so I don't know if I like this little chat box thing. It's really, I have to get used to that. So let me see if I can pull up Travis's pictures. So let's knock you off for a second, Dave. I'll just pull you down there. And Travis had sent me these pictures earlier. He's building a '69 Mustang. And he's using my videos to help him and get stuff done. So this was the first picture he sent me. I think that's the first picture. And his comment on that, he says, I got it backwards. First pic of the back is most recent. Okay, so this picture was maybe a week or so ago. I don't know exactly. And then this is the most recent picture. So very nice. I'll give you some bells for that. Very, very nice. Making good progress. And obviously it's a lot of dynacorn parts, just like the Cobra Jet was. Let me see if it'll go back to that first one. Yep. That's looking good, Travis. Looking good. I like it. I'm still undecided on that little branding thing on the corner. Let's go down to. I'll go back to Dave. He commented here. He's 1890 Rockaway carriage, built in town and featured in today's parade. So, this is an 1890 uh, Rockaway carriage. So, let me pull that comment down real quick. That's pretty cool. I'm going to turn that comment thing off. It's too busy. And then here it is. Oh, I thought it would be pulled in the parade, but it was actually pulled on a trailer. Okay. It would have been really cool, I will say, if it had like a horse, pulling that thing. But we'll settle for the trailer pull. That's fine too. You can still ride in it, and you can make the wee 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 sounds. Like you're. Very cool. Thank you, Dave. And I don't know if I gave you a bell, but there's an extra bell. Denny Alvey, good evening, Barry. Hello from Paducah, Kentucky. Thank you for your service. Thank you, Denny. Appreciate it. Amateur Hour Restoration. Hello, all. Forgot it was Monday. Well, you're here. You made it. Glad you're here. Like I said, I don't expect a lot of people here tonight. We only got 31 currently watching, so hard to say how long I'll go tonight as well. Gig'em Garage, good evening, Barry. Kevin Barth here. Welcome, Kevin. Dave Tyson. Good evening, all. Evening, Dave. And Dave Conville is back. I volunteer for a lot of stuff, but not to clean up after a horse. Yeah, I get it. It's a cool buggy. I mean, that is. You don't see stuff like that often enough, unless you're up in, Amish country, right? And you see them actually towing around, or being towed around by horses. Pulled, I should say. Or technically pushed, right? I guess they're technically pushed by horses, depending on how they're strapped and harnessed, right? Black GTX. I'm going to say Mark. Welcome. Hope I'm right. Robert, I prefer my vehicles to have more than 1 horsepower. Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned that. I saw a recent video where somebody took a Ford, I think it was a Ford Ranger, and it had a 5-speed transmission. It was like a 92 model Ranger, but like the transmission was like an 89 or something. And they put a Harbor Freight Predator engine in it. Took out the regular engine was gone, and they had this Harbor Freight Predator engine mounted in the engine bay, and had it all rigged up. I mean, he had a pull start coming through the dash, where he could rope pull this thing to get it running, and the it had a clutch, and regular transmission. He showed the couplings that he made to make everything work. It couldn't go. You're not going to tow anything with it, obviously, but he was using it to get around his town with this Predator engine, and I was thinking, well, that's a lot of work for a little gain. In effect, like the cost of an engine for that Ranger would have probably been pretty cheap, but the little Predator engine, who knows what I don't even know what those cost. But he was talking about putting in a V-twin version and getting like 18 horsepower or something out of the thing. So it was kind of fun to watch. People being creative with whatever they have. So anyway, Travis, I have watched from about Slither 25 through 32 about 10 times each. Watched 28 to 31 this morning. Again, your videos are an amazingly great help. Awesome. Thank you, Travis. And Travis, I know I'm not picking at you at all. Travis was my number 1 patron. He's still at the top of the list. So I do appreciate Travis and everybody else who is supporting me on Patreon. I've been reviewing some things as I think about this at the moment, the whole YouTube thing. I know I beat a dead horse here, but the revenue is not. It just keeps going down. It just keeps going down, and I understand it. I'm not an entertainer, like Travis says. The information is what's valuable to people, but it's only valuable to people that are doing those kind of projects. Like my information, my details are valuable to people who are trying to do what Travis is doing, building his own car, right? The average viewer on YouTube, they don't care. Like they don't care that what I'm doing. They don't care about the numbers. They don't care about welding this or doing that. They just want to be entertained, and that's it's difficult to compete with the entertainment market, and so I just more and more I lean on Patreon because I know those people are supporting me because they have a valued interest in what I'm doing, and so I've been trying to play with some ideas. Not that I'm thinking I'll ever get the kind of traction I used to get with YouTube, but I feel like most people, for the entertainment side of things, they're not here for every step that I go through to build a car. They want to see me grab a bunch of parts, put them on the car, and then drive it out the door, in an hour, like a TV show. That's what they want to see. They don't care about the details. I'm learning that more and more. The average viewer is just like, keep me entertained. And so I was trying to come up with ideas, but it's like, I can't condense it. I can't make myself go, I'm just going to bolt this fender on. I don't care what it looks like. Throw some paint at it and drive it away. I can't do that sort of thing. So it's just been enlightening to see, to think about what they're doing. Like I've probably pointed out before, there was a young guy that I watched. He had a 65 or 6, I think, Mustang. I don't remember what he called it, but it was white. And I say he was young. He's probably in his early 20s. And he was just playing around with the car, basically. Like, he said, I'm going to change the intake manifold. And let me show you how it's done. And he just, like, rips the manifold off. He'd already pulled the bolts, stabbed another one on there, and just, like, put things together real quick. No details, no torque, no information, right? Gets it running, fires it up, and then next thing you know, he's out doing burnouts in the driveway. And that video had like 1 million views on it because it's entertainment. It's entertainment. But, my bracket of entertainment is different. Doyle says you're entertaining and helpful, and thank you for all you do. Don't give up on us. Yeah, I know. And I'm trying not to. It's the difficulty with YouTube is if you try to follow their formula, like they want a video every couple days, they want them 45 minutes or an hour long so they can put all kinds of ads on them, and it's the competition of what's out there, the entertainment stuff versus what I do. It's totally different. It's just totally different. Doyle, your knowledge is valuable to us. I would be lost on a crazy build without you. Yeah, and I get that from a lot of people. I actually get a lot of that. Of course, I have a Facebook page too. And I get, even whether it's through YouTube or Facebook or Instagram or whatever, I get all kinds of questions, emails, and I, as you all know, I try to help out. I try to get information out there if I can, because I know what it's like to be in the dark on this stuff and have to, I got to figure this out. So if I can help people, I try to help them whenever I can. So let me think here. On the Cobra Jet, and let me hold on just 1 second. I'm going to bump the air on it. It's a little A little humid right now, and I want to turn that air on just to knock it off a little bit. Travis says the only reason I'm a patron is due to you not being an entertainer. Thank you for that, Travis. And that's what I get. Like the people that are following me on Patreon, they want that information. That's what I'm saying. You all find it valuable and useful, and that's why I'm catering more towards my patrons now more than ever. So like I've put out videos over the past couple weeks where I did a version for Patreon, and I do another version for YouTube. And on the Patreon one, I know like the last one I did, I talked about and I showed some details about what I did on the movie. I thought y'all might be interested in that to see what's going on and what I was doing. So that's why I put that information on there. I did not put that on the YouTube one because they're not part of the program. They're not. They don't get that extra little insight on YouTube. So that's why I do stuff like that on occasion. And that's why I didn't do a shop update this week, but I normally do a shop update. And when I do those are like more introspective or personal. I try to talk about what's going on maybe with the shop and my life and different things like that because it's more valued in that aspect. So, but I do appreciate everybody that's helped me out with Patreon. I was talking about the Cobra Jet. Now, I showed the video where I had done the sanding with the glazing compound, and I was really happy with how that turned out. It's still not 100%, but I don't want to go to 100%. Because I know if I try to go to 100%, I might be doing things over again. And I can't do that. I can't just keep torturing myself with aiming for 100% perfection. I just can't do that. It's still going to look fantastic. I mean, it's going to look great. I know that. But I can't overload myself, with some of the stuff. So I will be this week working on the rest of the dust nibs and buffing. That's the plan, is to get all that taken care of. I also would like to, if I can, I'll see what I can get done, but I want to get the car out of the paint booth, and it needs to be up here because I got to paint the hood, the blackout on the hood, and the cowl panel. And I'd rather not. I mean, I might be able to push the car outside if the weather's okay and put some plastic over it. So we'll see how that goes. But I don't want it in the paint booth at all when I'm spraying. So either it has to come up here or I need to take it outside and wrap it in plastic and keep any kind of overspray from getting on it. But I need to get the blackout on the hood taken care of. And I'm probably, I don't know if I'll show it or not, I'm probably going to reshoot the quarter extensions. Because now that I've done the deck lid and the back of the car together, I've taken the extension, set it up there. Now my eye, I can see just that much of a difference. And I doubt that most people would, but I probably will just respray those just to satisfy me. So I can get those looking just the way I want them. Also, I was looking at one of the mirrors, and I realized that on the where the post meets the mirror, I didn't get enough color. It's a little gray, like primer gray, so I'm going to redo those as well. Clean that up, make sure it's all right. Let's see. Amateur hour restorations. How many hours do you spend working on your projects a week? That's a great question. I know I can normally give you a solid answer on that because depending on the project. So like, let's just say as an example, I'm working on this, the Fangled Fastback, right? I've shown this before. I think I keep a timer on the wall on my bench. So when I'm working on a project for somebody, this is counting. Okay. When I take a break, I hit the stop button. So if I go grab lunch or if I'm walking the dog or whatever, this stops. I come back in and I start again, and the timer's running. All right. So I keep a really super accurate time on hands-on one of these projects. So if but I will keep track of time for like cleaning up as well. You know, if the shop gets messed up from debris and rust and whatever, that's part of it. So that counts towards time, right? But I can't say right now where I'm at, because on the Cobra Jet project, I'm doing that without a timer. I did that one based on a dollar figure, and I'm trying to make sure. If honestly, if I probably ran the timer, I would probably go over that amount. And I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep it under that amount. But I would say minimum 6 hours a day, minimum. And depending on what I'm doing, I may put in 8 hours, you know, depending on, and where I'm at. I may even put in 10 or 12 hours, depending on where I'm at in my sequence. So I'm close to, I may not be putting in 40 hours a week by the day, five days a week, right? But I'm probably putting in 40 hours a week over the course of the entire week. Because even on Saturdays, and this is where it gets difficult too, because Fridays, I spend the bulk of the day editing videos. And that's on me. That's on my time. So I spend the bulk of the day editing videos. Saturday, I'm back out here pretty much all day. And Sunday afternoons, I'm back out here doing more of the same. So it may be even more than 40 hours as far as that goes. But I don't do like 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. You know, I work every day, one way or another. It's just the way I am. So I can't, like I said, I can't give you an exact number. But that's a great question with an intermediate answer. TJ, man, I'm late to the chat. TJ, East Dublin, Georgia, U.S. Army retired. We all gave some, but some gave all. 26 May 2025 Memorial Day. Never forget. Us, Barry, we appreciate your dedication and help. Well, glad you're here, TJ. And I will say this as well. We also, on the friends that I have, the group of friends that I hang out with, when we do events together, we'll have, we have, they live in Alabama, one couple in our group, and he's retired Navy, or not retired, he served in the Navy. He was a rescue swimmer. And so he has been doing it for years. He retires flags on Memorial Day. He might do some on 4th of July. He might do some on Veterans Day. And people know that he retires flags, so they bring him flags. So this past, on Saturday, I have to get my day straight. I think it was, maybe it was Saturday night. We retired 12 flags. So, it's great to do the correct retirement of a flag. And a lot of people don't know how that works. You know, in the military, like, a flag's not supposed to touch the ground, right? That sort of thing. We know that. It's always supposed to be at the highest point of any display. So if you have an arrangement of flags, let's say you have a American flag and then you have all the military flags or anything else, the American flag is supposed to be taller than all the rest. It's always supposed to take precedence. So even if you have, like here in the States in particular, if you have other countries represented, even then the American flag is supposed to be, honored as the top. And there's different types of flags. There's some that have, gold fringe border, and those are like for indoor use situations. But, the flag itself, there's you see people fold it up in a triangle, and that's the way you're supposed to fold it. And each one of those folds represents something. I can't go into all the detail on that. I can't say exactly what each fold represents. But when you fold up that flag, you can look it up. There is a meaning for each one of those folds. And then, if it's put in a display box or whatever, it's arranged a certain way. But when you retire a flag, and anybody can do it, honestly. It's not like restricted to certain people. Like your American Legion or your Cub Scouts, they retire the flags. And essentially you cut the blue off of the stars and stripes. You separate the blue, and that makes it no longer a flag. Okay? And so whenever you retire a flag, you burn it. So you can burn the blue, and then you burn the stripes. I think blue, I'm trying to remember what each represents. So like red is the blood, of soldiers. I think blue is honor, and I forget what I know what it is. I can't come to my mind right now for the white. But anyway, we did that this weekend as well, and we had a little. For those of us that are in the military, we played some music for it, and there was taps, and taps is the most brutal thing for us as servicemen. And I used to do when I was in the Army. I did funeral details. That was an assignment we had during our time and we would go to funerals and bury soldiers, who had died of natural causes or whatever, and had a military funeral. And so we would do a ceremony with a 21 gun salute. And if you're not familiar with that, there's 7 riflemen, and they all have blanks in their guns, but they fire their guns 3 times to represent 21 gun salute. And then we would do we would be either pallbearers to get them from the vehicle to the burial site. And of course there's a lot of pomp and circumstance with all of that. But in the real the heart-wrenching part of, we were talking about this weekend too, is taps. The song itself is pretty heart-wrenching, right? So if you're familiar with it. But when we would do it, they would have 2 trumpeters or bugle players or whatever, one close by to the funeral, and he would play taps, right? Everybody's dead silent. And then it was like, as soon as he stopped, maybe a few 5 or 10 seconds later, you would hear a softer version of taps played in the distance. The other guy would be like 100 yards away. And boom, that just like rips your heart out, because when I hear that, I envision that this guy playing up front here is saying, hey, we got another one to send home. And the other side is saying, hey, we're ready for him. Bring him to us. That's kind of how I see it. So anyway, it's a tough thing to hear, and it's even kind of tough for me to talk about, to be honest, because I dealt with that military funerals and going through that process many times, and it's quite the honor to do that, in fact. So a little history there on the flags and all the stuff going on with the funerals and whatever, but it is Memorial Day, so it's worth talking about. Okay. Michael Pagliarini, evening all, late to the party. That's all right. Michael, I know in the past you were dealing with getting the back half of your car together, and I hope you've had some success in getting that figured out. I know, I think we had communicated on that a couple times, and of course I don't know what the status is. Whenever everybody's working on stuff, There's a lot of there's times where you just say, hey, you know what, I'm not going to touch it for a week or 2 weeks, and just step away. So I'm not sure the status of it, but let us know if you can. And I'm going to need to get a drink of coffee here. I know Rick is usually. I don't think I've seen Rick here tonight, so I have to start without him. Rick is my coffee guy. Michael, yes, white signifies purity and innocence. There you go. I had it there, but I just couldn't get it out. And it's funny how much. I say it's funny. It's not really funny, but whenever you are in the military, you have to learn all of the things about the flag and reasons for this and reasons for that, and the history, and you learn about these things. Now, I served 40 years ago. Well, 37 years ago now. I went in 40 years ago, got out 37 years ago. So I haven't kept up with all of that, as far as all the variables of the flags and all these different things. Because honestly, people don't ask me that every day. But I can tell you that, I can still tell you the general orders from whenever we were in basic training. There were 3 general orders that we were told to memorize, and most of us can still recite those general orders. So there's some stuff that just sticks in your head. But the other thing I want to talk about, our youngest son is a firefighter for the city of Marietta, Georgia. And I guess what he sent my wife some pictures and video that he was volunteered, as he said, to go to a memorial service, okay, and because when the firemen are involved, the police are involved. There's a lot of ex-military guys and stuff, but apparently they had this big memorial up at this soldiers, my mind is graveyard, right? So there's a military graveyard up there, and he was picked to be part of the honor guard, I guess. And so he didn't think it was going to be anything really big, but it turns out like the mayor was there, and these city councilmen, and all these city, the higher ups in the city government were there, and so he ended up. I think he was on TV and different things like that. So I'm glad he was able to participate and be part of it. He was in the National Guard, and he was also in the Air Force Reserves. So he's actually served in 2 different aspects. Steve Reed, white represents hope for a just and fair society. Okay. Well, I got you, and I have Michael saying signifies purity and innocence. So now I don't know for sure. I'll take your both your word for it, because I can't look it up right now. But that makes sense too. Mr. Peters says, "Hey." How about that, Mr. Peters? Welcome. I know I can never get it right. Gerhard. How about that, Gerhard? Welcome. I'm glad you're here. Michael, I've been picking at it, talking about his project. Still struggling with making things fit, so I've been spending time on the range, blowing off some steam. All right. That's good. That's fine too. He says, I'm late. I'm glad you're here. Dave Tyson, he's going to mess with me. Now you're saying gear hard, and it's not gear hard. He says you got it. Okay. Steve Reed says that is in the armory manual laying here. Okay. Well, there you go. Then Steve, I'll give you the credit for that. That white represents hope for a just and fair society. Thank you, Steve. C&J, I ended up with a new set of rear drums, but they are different from each other. Would you use them or set aside? When you say different from each other, I'm going to assume you're talking about the exterior look, the outside, right? So I've dealt with this. Like the inner dimensions may be the same. So you've got the right width for the shoes, the right diameter for the shoes, but the outer casting is different. Some of those had a flange that would actually have a spring on them to act as a noise reducer, and some didn't. So you may have that configuration. You may have one with a big flange on it or different size flanges. The answer is you can look at it a couple ways. You can only see one at a time, right? You can only see one of those at a time. So either you just say, you know what, it's fine, it works, I'm not going to mess with it, or you order another one and hope that it matches one of those two. That's probably the answer I can give you. Those are your options. But I think I've had some where they were different on both sides. They still did the same job. It wasn't like they were, one was worse than the other, anything like that. So, I'm glad you brought that up, by the way. I had something else I wanted to discuss. As you all know, and I think I may have talked about this, I may not have. I had, you all know I sold Jade, right, back in March. And the gentleman bought the car. He had played with the idea of, he wanted something with a 5-speed. And so he ended up, I think there was a small problem with the transmission. And I don't know exactly. I mean, my friend of mine had rebuilt the transmission. It's what he does for a business. But apparently he may have missed something. And it was leaking some fluid. And so the guy that bought Jade decided, I'm just going to put the 5-speed in it and be done with it. So he contacted me, and he said, I'm going to put in the 5-speed. And he says, I'm going to sell you, I have some parts for sale if you want to buy them back. And so what he's going to do, and I'm probably going to I'll probably drive to his place and get these parts from him. So I'm going to end up with, back from Jade, the wheels and tires, because he wanted to put a different set on, which I like those wheels and tires, so I'm going to be happy to have those back. He's put in Edelbrock EFI, so I'm getting back wheels and tires, the gas tank, intake manifold, carburetor, distributor, the transmission is coming back, and he decided, he had a problem with getting using the brake booster that was in there with the clutch. So he's putting a different brand in there, whatever, I don't know what it is. And so I'm going to get back the brake booster and master cylinder setup. I think that's everything. So anyway, I will be getting parts back from Jade, and all of those will be put to use. I can definitely take everything from those and, use them in different cars. Originally, I was supposed to get the drive shaft back as well, but he decided they could use the drive shaft. Oh, the gears. I think I don't know if he's going to put a whole nother chunk in the rear end, but I think I may get the whole chunk back. He may be swapping all that out as well. So, I'm going to end up with some of the parts back from Jade. And he was talking about changing out the cylinder heads, but I think he's going to stick with what he has and change those out at a later date. That's my understanding. So anyway, I will be able to use those in in the next build, whatever I end up building. Gerard, thank you for those who have fallen in service from Canada. Well, thank you, sir. Yes. Yeah, it's, like I said, it's hard to say Happy Memorial Day. It just doesn't ring well. But anyway, as I said earlier, I'm going to be finishing up the sanding and buffing on the Cobra Jet, reshoot a few other pieces, and try to get the hood taken care of. Now, I don't know if I'll get that done this week or not. I mean, the sanding and buffing, I should be able to take care of all that, and then I'll have to assess whether I can address the hood and those other pieces. Because I can't paint, I mean, the hood is a flat black, basically a flat black, and I can't, I don't want to spray that with any of the other parts in there. You just don't need any kind of overspray going on that stuff. So that's where I'm at with the projects. Otherwise, I'm still trying to address some small things here and there within the shop, cleaning up and just keeping things moving. Let's see here. Betty Keith says, glad you're back. I've been watching a lot of your videos. Betty Keithley. Awesome. Well, that's good. That's good. Keep watching. But anyway, I don't know if there's any subject matter that anybody wanted to talk about. Being that I haven't been in here the past 3-4 days, doing these other things, going to the lake, enjoying the weekend with family and friends. There's not a whole lot that I have been, addressing here in the shop. So if anybody has a question, I'll give you an opportunity to bring it up, and then we'll see, how much further we're going to go. Then it's just, I don't have a whole lot to talk about tonight. Yeah. No, I don't know if there's anything else. Oh, I may have talked about this. I did end up ordering some bumper brackets. I think I mentioned that I may have mentioned it. I know I did in the Patreon video. Because I want to put the bumpers on the Cobra Jet. I don't know who this brand is. I have no idea. This came from NPD. But I had taken the original bumper brackets. I was going to take them off of the bumper that came from the Cobra Jet. That bumper has holes in it. That's how rusted that thing is. There were holes looking through the bumper. I started taking everything loose, and I pulled the bracket off, and the bracket itself it was rusted through. Like, there were holes all through that bracket, and I think, I can't do that. I'm not going to put that back on, that car. So I ordered a set of brackets, and also the front brackets as well, because as heavy as these pieces are, the one side, this is the driver's side, I think it was the passenger side one, this edge was like half gone, just rotted away, just rusted away. And then I think it was this inner surface where the secondary bracket bolts to, it was just rusted so thin you could just about see through it. So I said, I'm going to put all this stuff on here, but I want to have it right. I'm not going to put pieces that don't need to be used anymore. So that's the other thing I'm taking care of. TJ says, how is the acting going, Mr. Mechanic? Oh, well, you missed out. I talked about it. 3 days we shot at a Toyota dealership. And the movie is called The Breadwinner. So you can look that up and see what the write-up is on that. The comedian that wrote the script is Nate Bargatze, and I basically played a Toyota technician for background fill. But it was fun. They fed me well. That's all that matters. They fed me well. But good question, TJ. Here's an extra bell if I didn't give you one. C&J, I scored on a 4-speed overdrive out of a F-150 last week for $50. Everything drops right in to the 289 parts that I have for it. Open it up, and it all looks really nice inside, or really good inside. That's what I want, an overdrive transmission like that to go in my Mach 1. AOD, whatever it is. I know they have the 470W. I don't know. Doesn't matter. I just want the overdrive to go into my Mach 1. So we'll figure that out later. Danielle, how did the 3M Trizac work for you? Actually, it worked really well. It worked really well. I was very careful with it, taking out the dust nibs. It was 1,000 grit. I know. That was the one was a. Wait a minute. The Trizac was a 3,000 grit. I got to remember now. I had 1,000 grit for the regular DA paper, and I had the 3,000 grit with a little bit of foam pad on it. I think that's the Trizac we're talking about. But what I did is I took the 1,000 grit and just skimmed over where all the dust nibs were, and then I went through my normal wet sanding sequence with the other levels of that, and then came back with that 3,000, and it really did a nice job. So I'm pretty happy with that. I want to say that I'm looking forward to actually buffing the car, but I have to say that I'm not looking forward to buffing the car because it's just the paintwork always makes me so anxious. You know, it's like, oh, it's gonna be fantastic, and then poof, something happens, and it's like, okay, I'll just start over. So I was kind of hoping I'd come back from this weekend getaway and somebody would have come in here and wet sanded it and buffed it, and it would have been all done. But I'll get it done. Steve Reed, work on my car. So he says he worked on his car. He was delayed for a month having eye surgery on left eye. Well, delayed a month, having eye surgery on left eye tomorrow and the other one on June 9th. That doesn't sound fun at all. So, hope you recover well from whatever you're having done. Betty says, I learned a lot from Terry, so I don't miss a lot. And learning from you, it is all very interesting, and I love learning about all of this. Well, that is very cool. She's a keeper. Got to keep her, Terry. That's a good one. Troy Justin, I was amazed at how clean your Mach 1 is. Those of us working on old cars would love to have one that clean and not have to replace so much rust. If you get a chance, go see it. So what Troy is talking about, he actually he stopped in here. He was coming over this way to the Summit Racing to get parts and different things, and that's really not too far away from me. He lives on the coast of Georgia. So he had come over to Summit to pick up stuff, came to visit me, and he was able to see what's going on, with what I'm working on, the shop and all that stuff. So it was a good visit. And as I showed him, my Mach 1 and the fact that it's probably 95% rust-free, he's right. It's really hard to imagine just how clean that car is. So I will be going through it, obviously, and taking off any undercoating and re-prepping it, repainting some things. And there will be some repair work. As y'all know, I started on the quarter panels that somebody else cut off. So I have to get all that back in place. But in my mind, that's relatively easy for me. The challenge at some point is going to be digging through all the pieces and parts and making sure I have everything to put it back together. Now, thankfully, a lot of this is in boxes with labels on it and that sort of thing, but condition is also relative. So, is it good enough to put back on the car? We'll see. So, I'm going to have to go through those pieces and parts as well. But, you know, if I focused on, if I just focused on that car and I didn't do anything else, like at all, like didn't video, just focused on it, I could probably be driving it in less than a month. Probably. But I'm not going to. It's not that big a priority. I have other things to do. But thank you, Troy. Dawn's Manufactory. Hello, folks, from warm and sunny PDX. Glad to hear Dawn. Hope all is well. Steve Reed. Surgery is for cataract surgery. Again, I hope that goes well. My dad had he had to have cataracts removed from one of his eyes, and he can read again. So there's that. You know, he was having trouble. He liked to read the paper and newspaper, right? He'd have his glasses on and a magnifying glass, and he was like trying to read, and now he just has his glasses. So a lot of people have that kind of surgery, and that's, I'm sure everything will go well. I have Ole Fart. I just tuned in. May have missed out already. Is that your car behind you? This one is not. I'm building this for somebody else. This is a 68 fastback that is going to do autocross racing and be driven. So this car is basically all new metal. And it's going to have a Coyote engine in it, roll cage, I think TCI suspension, all that fun stuff is going to be in this car. And I can't really dig into this car until I get the other car that I built, the Cobra Jet, out of here. That's just how it has to be. I have to finish that other one and get it gone. I wish I was on this one. I really do. And I will be, but it's going to have to be a little while. Well, I say a little while, until I get the other one out of the way. Doyle says, after Slithery going back to the fastback or your Mach 1. Nope, this one right here. This will be the project. We'll see how, everything is, I've already fine-tuned a bunch of this stuff, because I've worked on it. So you all saw that I worked on the fitment of the wheelhouses, fitment of different pieces and parts, test fitted all the front section. So a lot of this should go together pretty easily overall. But I want to get the body put together, make sure everything functions, doors and stuff work, all that stuff, before I get into everything else. Now, it's interesting you ask about this, because one of the ideas, or one of the things that I may end up doing, and I'll go through this in my head many times, is it's going to have a roll cage in it. So you don't want to put the roll cage in last. You're not doing yourself any favors by doing that. So what I will have to do is make the roll cage fit the car, and I may keep the roof off in that process. I mean, I can make it so nothing moves, but I may keep the roof off of the car just for welding it up. Make a nice solid roll bar. Also, I want to make sure everything gets through the rear seat panel where it's supposed to go, all that stuff. So it'll be mixed in to the process, making all that work. And then, of course, the front end, it's all going to have the Mustang 2 style suspension and everything underneath it. That should go pretty easily, I should say. I've done that before. So just some things I have to consider as I'm going through the process. But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting some welds on this car. I really am. Because I like welding a lot more than I like painting. A whole lot more. More satisfaction. Even if I'm grinding afterwards, I'd rather be grinding than painting. But anyway, we've gone over an hour. and that's good to go. I'm gonna be calling it a night. We've got like 40 people here, which is cool, but I really don't have much more to bring up tonight. So we'll do this again next Monday. I plan to be here at 7 o'clock once again, and I hope that y'all enjoy the rest of this day and get some work done this week. Everybody's got work to do on their projects, but that'll be it for tonight. So until next time, take care of yourselves. See you.